Oh, it's me.
Good morning, comrades. You are listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly Good Morning Comrade, Jeff and Robert, here to bring you through World War III, baby. Here we are.
I mean, it is
What's up,
like
man?
we are in World War III. Like, it's not even hyperbolic at this point.
The end of days. At least you'll have us to listen to while we yap about it while the world gets completely obliterated. It's cool, right?
I mean, and there's a lot to yap about too. It's just like, I don't know. I kind of went crazy last night on our other show on This Space on YouTube. You can check that out if you want, like a bunch of leftist content. But I was losing it because it's like people. I gotta remember it's WHIV and I can't curse, so it's like the idea that I have to punch a time clock while we're literally in World War III is insane. Like, I feel like what is this? Like, why I have to go to work and everybody just like pretends it's not happening, or people that like are at least liberals. I'm not even talking about I'm not talking about like MAGA chuds who are just completely brainwashed, who are just completely like, oh, we like pedophilia now and gas prices are high, and if you saw a C-130 go down, no, you didn't, and apparently CENTCOM out of Tampa saying that nothing happened to it, but I guess C-130 Globemasters just do that sometimes. So it's like they just
real pay no attention to the man behind the curtain hours.
Yeah. But I'm not talking about those people, but even people who are just like liberals who are just like, I don't know, because it's just like, if you're not like a weird autistic person who like I'm a news autist, I'm a history and also like a current events autist. Like, if you're not that, like, people just think this is just another like incursion that we usually have, every couple of years, flares up somewhere in America. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is really, really, really bad. It's
the big one.
It is the big one, and I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about it, and I don't want to I guess we'll get to it now. I mean, I'll say it now and say what you and see how you feel about it. But I can say this without any kind of uncertainty, like dead serious, no hyper. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, anything. To save American society, we must lose this war. We have to, because
revolutionary defeatism.
Okay, so gaming this out in my own head is that it's like this. It's like, here, the worst possible thing that can absolutely happen to the entire world is if Israel, the United States, out of Operation Epstein's fury, out of just the pride of protecting pedophiles, decides that we're so humiliated that we get a tactical nuke off, and then it's we're off to the races. Like, we're all dead. Like, everybody's just going to start nuking everybody. It's over with. So that's worst possible scenario. Second worst possible scenario, honestly, is if Iran doesn't finish the job. And what I mean by finish the job is completely clean out the block being the Middle East, getting all United States assets out of the region, and getting, honestly, Iran shouldn't stop until they get a guarantee from the global nuclear regulatory community that they're going to do inspections in Israel, and Israel has to dismantle the nuclear weapons at the Dimona plant that they wink don't have, because you can't have this kind of just evil, this kind of madman of a Zionist ethno-state with nuclear weapons anywhere near you. Like, you have to think about it from their point of view, and that's why Iran is saying, "Oh no, the talk is over." Like, and it's not out of any kind of. They're like, "Oh, are you going to come to the negotiating table? What are your terms?" Our terms are we have to hurt you so bad that you will never think about doing this again. And those are our terms, and we haven't met them. It's like, so if Donald Trump, let's say, somebody's best case scenario, somebody else's will be like, well, what if Donald Trump just says, oopsie, my bad, we're so sorry, let's pull out of the region, we're not going to do this again, that was a misunderstanding, whatever, and the war is over. Iran must keep launching. They must clean the block out, because if they don't, we're just going to be right back here in a couple of years. And
I mean, they did it a year ago. They bombed Iran a year ago, and just like these quote unquote targeted attacks on their nuclear facilities, and what they described as their nuclear facilities, where they were supposedly developing a nuclear weapon. There's no evidence to prove that that's the case. But then a year later, they're like, oh, looks like Iran's got a nuke again. Like all of our entire lives, the United States has been saying that Iran is like, a week away from having a nuke. We got to do something about it.
And it's the idea that they've just shown so much restraint over the years through humiliation after humiliation after humiliation. And they've shown unlimited amounts of restraint, and they finally just realize, oh, America's a rabid dog that cannot be dealt with, and our military, must be put down.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, one of the things that you mentioned that, like, the United States, or at least a lot of the, like, liberal side of things, are saying that Iran needs to come to the negotiation table. And, like, what does the United States and Israel use the negotiation table for lately? Because they were in negotiations with Iran right before they decided to just launch Operation Epstein's Fury. And they basically use that to scout out where the bigwigs on Iran's leadership are going to be, and be like, okay, here's how we're going to pop them. They basically set a trap.
Yeah.
So, like, you want to, like, hey, walk into another trap, leaders in Iran. Like, come on.
Why would they do that? And it's just, and what I mean by saying, and I mean, please push back. Like, I'm looking for pushback. I'm really just like workshopping this in my head as we speak. I've been thinking about this. It's like, we have to lose to save American society, because if we don't, in my wildest dream is that Iran ends the military industrial complex in this country by making our, and I say soft, I know there's so many people, especially this is going on the radio, WHIV 102.3 FM, End All Wars, I guess except for this one. Sorry about it, but we'll talk about, that's what I'm saying, like, End All Wars. But I'm like, from Iran's point of view, it's not a point of view, this is objective reality. This is existential for them. This is what Sun Tzu called death ground. Like, they are backed up against the sea, and there's no way forward for them but through. And also, Sun Tzu would say on the other end of that, if you've ever read The Art of War, it says, never do this to your enemy. Never make them feel, always leave them a chance to negotiate. Always leave them an escape route. Never make things existential, because if it's not existential for you, you will more than likely lose that conflict. And that's what's happening right now. But
that's the lesson that the United States can never learn. Since Korea through all the way back to, like, the Philippines, all the way through Korea, all the way through Vietnam. I mean,
Vietnam,
in Iraq and Afghanistan. The missiles that totally did not, the surface to air missiles that totally did not take out those C-130s today, flying over Iraq, that one had to do an emergency landing in Israel and the other one had to crash land, and the other one crash landed in Iraq, came from Iraq. So we did all that. I mean, you and I are lively kids. And, for those of you who are younger, who don't know, like, the internet used to be so much wilder, where you could just watch people die. And what I mean is, like, we were lively kids. We saw Saddam Hussein get hung. We did this whole Iraqi freedom campaign just for 20 years later for surface-to-air missiles, and also other missiles to destroy our bases in the region, and then also take down really the closest thing we have to a realistic Death Star. And I know these were C-135s, which are refuelers, but they definitely have they have
flares on them. Like, but the C-130 Globemaster is and that in the aircraft carrier is the closest thing we have, like, in reality to a Death Star. It's the ability to rain down death at anywhere in the world. And this thing was taken out by a country that we supposedly dominated and subjugated 20 years ago. You know, and people died for this. And it's great. Like you said, it's the lesson we can never learn. And the idea of, like, what I mean, like, we have to lose this war is that when I say lose the war, I'm not talking about we need a mass casualty event. I don't want to see anybody die. I don't want to see a mass casualty event. I don't want to see 9/11 too. And I, as a side note, I think it's funny, this, like, psyop. I'm not going to say it right now. This idea that somehow Iran has sleeper cells, or they're going to hit us with drones from all the way across.
Right-wing conspiracy. It's a right-wing conspiracy.
But let's say they did. Let's say they did have, you know.
I saw Bill Cassidy, the United States Senator, posting about that today.
Yeah. Let's say they did, right? Let's say the CIA is not lying to us, and there are sleeper cells here in the United States that somehow that CNN feels comfortable enough to talk about, but the government, the government, the feds don't feel comfortable enough to do anything against. That's weird. But let's say that's all true, right? And some kind of mass casualty event, this is a side conversation, but some kind of mass casualty event happens in America. And they're saying, well, it's be an act of terrorism. Would it be terrorism at that point? That feels just like war. That's war.
Blowback.
That's not even blowback. That's just war. Like, this was a war of choice. The first day out, we attacked a sovereign nation for absolutely no reason, and we blew up
blew up a strategically significant girls' school where anywhere between 80 and 150 little girls were killed.
Well, that's one way to liberate women, right? Who are oppressed, just don't let them grow up.
Yeah, that's right.
But that would just be. But if something like that's the burger right Amerifat Western mindset is like, we can't even imagine something like that happening to us, like, at all. It had to be. We could never feel the effects of a war that we started. It would have to be terrorism. That's how diseased society is.
Or there, in other terms of terrorism as well, because we are describing Iran essentially cutting off 20% of global oil trade by closing off the Strait of Hormuz. We're essentially calling that terrorism as well.
Sounds like war to me. Sounds like breaking the enemy's ability to make war.
Bombing a girls' school is not terrorism, but leveraging strategic assets is terrorism. Like, what the hell?
But to get back to my point of just, like, why we have to lose if we want to see any kind of positive, you know, change in our society, is that and again, it goes back to how sick we are as a society. A mass casualty event, and I don't want to see anybody die. I don't want to see soldiers in the United States, Americans die in foreign lands and all that. But even if I could press that button and us to take a mass casualty event and a bunch of
snap.
Yeah, we wouldn't care. We have school shootings in this country every damn day. We have mass shootings every damn day. We wouldn't care about that. But the thing about it is that why we're so soft here in this country, and we're so protected from the consequences of our elected leaders' choices, that softness could in fact save us. And what I mean by that is, like, what we really need is we need a couple months of $7, $8, $9, $10 gallon gas. And that would really change people's mindset of just like, everything is too expensive. I can't afford it.
The jalapeno poppers won't be $5 anymore.
We don't have decent public transportation in this country. And so we're a nation of cars, so that would be shut down. And people would go, well, damn, dog, I can't live like this. Maybe we should stop doing this war thing. Maybe, why are the only people making money off of this, or the oil companies who are selling their oil at a high price, and defense contractors, while, my family can't buy food anymore because Donald Trump is trying to soothe his ego as a pedophile. and doing the bidding of Bibi Netanyahu and the genocidal ethno state of Israel. Why I can't afford to feed my family or even drive to work. Now, Robert, I hear you say, well, that for that to happen, that's going to affect the poorest people, in the country. And I say, yeah, you're exactly right. And that's why, what we preach as leftists and we preach on this show is like we have to create and bolster mutual aid groups in this country who are going to, when that happens, we will carpool. We will, we'll have community kitchens and community gardens to feed people and get the poorest people and get us through this time. But I just don't think it would take much. It just won't take much to break us of war. And God willing, this will be the thing that finally does it and pushes us into the dustbin of empire. We're along with the French and the Germans and the UK and the Dutch and everybody else who tried the Japanese and everybody else who conquered the world, who tried to conquer the world. And, their empire was overstretched and bloated. And they just had to go sit down in a corner with the rest of the countries that tried it and look stupid for the rest of the time. And when you think about, you went to a thing, it's like the lesson that the United States cannot learn. Like we cannot seem to learn that. Read a book. Stop playing Call of Duty. Stop watching these silly war movies.
Stop saying slurs in the voice chat.
Really, understand where you're at if you're here in America and what the United States military is really capable of. The last direct conflict that we with any nation state, let alone asymmetrical military force, guerrilla warfare, that we won decisively was through nuclear weapons, and it was against the Japanese. Not the Nazis. The Soviets did the heavy lifting in the Western Front. But what were we against when we did our island hopping campaign against the Japanese? Another empire who was overstretched and over leveraged. That's why we got the best of them, and that's what's happening to us right now. Like you said, the Vietnamese, the Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea. These are nothing but L's that we've been taking. But somehow our silly American pride has just been swallowing that and been like, oh, we're the strongest, most lethal military in the world. Yes, but that doesn't win wars. What wins wars is holding ground, which you cannot do without the consent of the government. We see this over and over again, and we never learn our lessons. And finally, I would hope, because Donald Trump is so unpopular, and this was such a war of choice, again, to protect the pride of pedophiles, that we will finally get the message that you cannot be a citizen in the world and conduct yourself in this manner, no matter if you've got, C-130 Death Star or not. You just cannot do it. The Death Star now, the Death Star thing I'm saying is accurate, because what's the line in Star Wars? The tighter you try to grip on star systems, the more it slip through your fingers. And that is a direct analogy about America's loss, where we ran like a scalded dog in Vietnam. And it's just it. That's my. I've just been really torn up about this, but I just hope that for me and the future of America, things are going well. And what I mean by that is again, WHIV 102.3 FM, New Orleans end all wars. But if we're going to have a war, God bless Iran, and they're doing the damn thing out there, and with minimum American casualties, maximum American humiliation. That's what we need. We need more American humiliation. So we just decide never to do this ever again.
As I was saying, there's a lot of podcast hours eaten up and a lot of ink spilled about reasons that there's not a modern anti-war movement happening right now. Have you really thought much about that, about why there hasn't been much of an anti-war movement pop up in the past couple of months? I mean, obviously this thing did come out of nowhere. Have you really thought much about that, about why there hasn't been a strong anti-war presence?
Couple things. A couple reasons why. I would suggest, one, people are so beaten down to where, the looks in the people, when I go to work and punch a clock and I have a decent job every day, I'm just like, this is just one more thing. I just got to pay my bills. I don't know. I can't really mess with this.
Keep your head down.
Two, we had over 1 million people in the street for Iraq. What did that do? It didn't do anything. This war is highly unpopular. The administration knows this. They don't care. What would I'm sorry. I don't want to. If you're in the street, DSA, PSL, whoever. I'm not saying don't be in the street. I'm just saying understand that nobody cares until you start messing with capital, and that's what I'm hoping that Iran will do with this continued onslaught of just keeping Israelis in the bunker, keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed, making sure nothing moves through there, just making the world financially unstable. That's the only thing these monsters care about. They care about capital. And when you start messing with capital, then they start paying attention. That's why Donald Trump is trying to declare victory now. And the Iranians finally know better. They finally know better, and they say, "Oh, no. This ends on our timeline, not yours." Until you just don't get to say you don't want to play no more. I don't remember if you ever watched Deadwood. It's like my favorite TV show ever. But there was the guy who kills Wild Bill Hickok, and he leaves the county. And back then, once you left the county, you were out of jurisdiction. And Sheriff Bullock, they went outside the county and they went and got him. And the guy was drunk. He's just he was playing poker, and he didn't know who he was. He's like, I don't want to play no more. And he's like, if anybody wants to know why we're about to, kick this guy's teeth in and drag him out of here, it's because this is the guy here who don't want to play no more. He shot Bill Hickok, and everybody just gets up and starts walking away. And that's the position that Iran's in right now. It's we don't care that you don't want to play no more. We have to get you out of here because we know you're a demon and you'll just do this again. But that's why I don't think there hasn't been much of an anti-war movement, because what would it even do at this point? What, Jeff? We've said here, I've told you this 5 or 10 times under different forms of intoxication and inebriation about my thoughts on the draft and why it needs to come back. And what's the first thing you saw? As soon as things started going sideways on even Fox News, they were like, parents are worried about the draft. They're like, what do you say about the draft? And they're like, oh, I won't rule out the draft. And you know what I was screaming at my computer?
Bring it back.
Please, God, please do that. They will end the war. I'm telling you this right now. There's no way that we will see a draft for as wild as this thing gets, as downhill and as out of control as it's going to get. We will not see a draft. They will.
They know better.
World. They will end the world. Exactly. They know better. The closest this country came to revolution, to actual armed revolution in this country, was during the Vietnam War. The United States government and the military war machine and the branches of the military did not get rid of the draft because they were nice people. They got rid of it in selective service because we were about to have a revolution over that.
Mm-hmm.
The draft would clean all this up immediately, because the amount of memas and pop-pops and on your Facebook feed right now talking crazy, talking about who needs to die and where they need to get killed at. As soon as that, and what do I always say about the draft? Oh, the draft ends at the actual draft, the way we used to do it. It's I think it's to the age 25 or something like that, or 24 even. Oh, no. If I'm president, again, this is deja vu for a long time. Good Morning Comrade listeners. If I'm president, I'm upping the age to 65, because 65 years old, you can be in a support role. You can do paperwork. Mm-hmm. You can serve food at the mess hall. You could be in the military, so you can free up a rifle for a young man.
You can drive a truck.
Exactly. For a young man or a young woman. We're all gonna have buy-in. We're all in this together. We're gonna sink together. We're gonna swim together. Because that way, when our government makes stupid choices like this to protect their pedophilia, now it affects you on day one. That's why we'll never have the draft back in this country. And that's why we need it back so badly.
The idea of Lindsey Graham in a military uniform, serving food or whatever, hilarious.
Talking absolutely greasy. Talking the craziest talk, again, about who they want to kill and where they want to do. Pete Hegzen, the big strong guy. the Department of War talking about all day, all night, death in the sky, whatever. Go, bro, lead from the front. When I was in the Marine Corps, they say lead from the front. The leader is in the front, and he's the last one to eat at the mess hall. Be doing that. They don't want none of that. They don't want to see that. But they're going to send some idiot who was in the poverty draft, who was in the, God bless him, in the Army Reserves over to a country that he couldn't find on a map to get his guts blown out for Jeffrey Epstein. It's crazy. For Israel. It's crazy. But that's because we've lost buy-in. We think, and I really start to believe these religious people to where like, the U.S. military and like this is just another form of human sacrifice. Like we sacrifice our young men and women on the funeral pyre to appease the god of capitalism because we all seem to be fine with it. We're like, well, Charlie Kirk, school shootings are a price to pay, so I can have a gun, a penis extender, and feel better. And he got killed by a school shooter. These same people I said, like on your Facebook feed, on your Instagram feed, talking so slick about what they would do and how it needs to be done. Are
you talking about gang violence or non-gang violence?
Exactly. But it's like they're talking so greasy, and it's like they're not. But they're fine with your kids. They're fine with anybody else, anybody's kids getting thrown into the meat grinder for Donald Trump and for Israel and Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah.
But if they had any kind of buy-in, and we know this is true. What I'm saying is not crazy. We know it's true because this is the same country during a global pandemic to where we had to wear masks for a year, so you didn't get Mima and Pop sick, and Applebee's was shut down for a month, and these people took it to the streets over that.
My wife needs to get her nails done.
Exactly. You think we can handle a minor inconvenience like high gas prices for any period of time? I think not. We're too soft and too comfortable for that.
Yeah. Just to kind of like to think about like the way that this is talked about in the press again, and I am like, it's like jaw dropping. One, how the press has just decided to like the difference between access that Iran gives to journalists and Israel. Like Israel will not even allow journalists in like CNN to show where attack sites are happening, and Iran's just like, oh, there's one of our cities on fire. Like, that's crazy.
That's agitated propaganda. It's just pure agitprop, and I don't mean, and there's no value judgment behind that. But yeah, Iran is looking for sympathy, which they deserve, which they 100%
also
deserve.
like isn't the freedom of the press? I mean, obviously, like we're hypocrisy or whatever, but like allegedly that's supposed to be one of the Western values, using heavy scare quotes with our fingers, that you're supposed to be quote unquote fighting for. But then there's just like the first thing that they do is make sure that is not taken care of, or that's not allowed.
But that's the thing you forget is they're just living up to Israelis, and Israel as a state. It's just a mini-me. It's just a cancerous appendage on, the cancer that is the United States, to where they're just living up to our values, in a lega arma. I can't think of the Roman term. It's something like that, but it means during time of war, the truth goes silent, the law goes silent. And it's like, yeah, so it's just like here, like, oh, when you live in a perpetual state of war, you can put anything on your population, and they'll just eat it. Just like in Israel now. Now, if you're an Israeli, you can't leave. You can't leave because they don't want the optics of it's already been leaked out. It's like Israelis rushing for the door, going to the Ben Gurion airport, trying to get out. But now they're like, oh, now you just can't leave because we don't want people to see that. And they were really proud. Yeah, I mean, just to your point though, during the 12-day war and during their continuous genocide over the years of Gazans, they were real proud to show off the Iron Dome. Super proud. They're like, look at these rockets, these junky bathtub rockets from Hamas that will never touch Israeli soil because the might of the Iron Dome will shoot them down. As soon as the 12-day war happened, and as soon as they started to put them hypersonics on you, and they started to creep through, all of a sudden they would kill the feed immediately. Now they're no longer proud. And somebody who's like a news junkie, a news autist like I am, who watches Israeli media, now they're trying to play the sympathy card. They're like, oh, they really don't know. There's two.
They do two angles of it, because
Yes, that's what I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
You have like, oh no, I'm a, like a conventionally attractive girl on social media. I have to listen to the bomb shelters and run to the bomb shelter, and it's very, very scary. And then the other thing that you have is like a bunch of just like dickheads like doing dance music down in the bomb shelters. Like,
exactly, they're confused. They don't know what to do. And the thing is, as this gets worse and worse, they're going to start crying for sympathy. But they burn all that up. Can you imagine? And this is kind of tongue in cheek, and I don't mean this isn't to lighten the Holocaust at all, but like it's almost to I guess it's not to compare the two, but that's what I'm going to say. Can you imagine being such a genocidal, disgusting ethno-state that you burn through all the goodwill you had because your ancestors were, murdered in the Holocaust? A crime against humanity so egregious that humanity had to create a new word for it. Mm-hmm. And now you've burnt through all that goodwill through your own actions that never needed to happen because you're racist and disgusting, and you think that Big Daddy America will always back you up through our and now they're learning that, hey, America's not, Uncle Moneybags. Like the well does run dry at some point, and it is run dry now. It's
running dry. You listen to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. You talk about the well running dry. Like, you're also seeing, and this is something that I thought was like really fascinating in the past couple of days, like the United States just deciding to completely back out of other imperial commitments that we've made. Yes. You have all these bad, batteries leaving essentially, Indian and Pacific Ocean areas that would typically be in place to like fend off North Korea or to sort of like flex at China or whatever it is. And that's sort of going away because the commitment of the United States imperial project is primarily, more than anywhere else, at least right now, to Israel. And everybody else, like, Taiwan, sorry if China comes and gets you, or South Korea if they decide to flex it up and take you or whatever, which isn't necessarily even on the table because of China's busy trade maxing. But like these sort of signs of empire that have been sort of like promised to a lot of these quote unquote allies nationwide. Like, we're just like, actually, you're not that important. Actually, we're taking all of our stuff and we're going to Israel because that's the only thing that matters.
Well, two things about that. Like, you talk about the China maxing, and just by us being such an overstretched empire now, we're like, oh, China's going to invade Taiwan. Now there's an opening to do so. They
ain't doing it.
They probably don't even have to do that. Probably, China, honestly, I know for people listening, I'm like just like holding my hands open and like pointing, but I'm like, they're probably just like, look over there. It's like, these are the people that you think have your back? The Americans? You think or do you want to mess with us? Because you're a client state right now. I mean, I could see it. A Chinese diplomat talking to Taiwanese government. You're like, look, you're already a client state of America, and they're showing they can't protect you. So you can be our client state, and we'll leave you alone. We'll make sure you're a special economic zone, just like we do Hong Kong, and we'll leave you alone. But like, you're Chinese. Like, they can't help you. Don't you see this? Don't you see this is just objective reality now? Like, they're overstretched. They cannot. And going into like conspiracy zone is where this is one of those things that we've talked about before. It's like how quickly we have left our other client states in, the UAE and other client states in the region high and dry. I cannot understand this you're going to have to make an argument for me that does why this has happened that doesn't involve Mossad blackmail at the highest levels of our government, because it just makes no sense. Is what I've always said a million times on this show and other places that I've been on. I said, I don't this thing with Israel. Israel is so hot. They've made the whole block hot. And this is the United States we're talking about. We don't have morals. We don't have we're your friend and we're going to stick with you to the end. As soon as an arrangement becomes inconvenient with us, we back out of it. We leave you. That's what we do. We're America. You can't trust us. So I don't understand why we can't have this arrangement with another scumbag country like Saudi Arabia. What is going on? Why are we so indebted to why are we letting the tail wag the dog like this so hard in Israel? And so you're just going to have to make an argument for me that does not involve Mossad blackmail. I can't game it out. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if it was Mossad blackmail, then why was it so effective on Joe Biden as well? Other than the fact that
okay, I've got an answer for that.
They didn't have to, because there are sufficient people within the United States government that are just like Israel lovers for the love of the game. And there might be components of it that might be on some individuals, Mossad blackmail or whatever. But by and large, the orientation of the United States policy is just Israel gets to do whatever it wants, and we'll just have their back no matter. I mean, they did a genocide for 2 years prior to any of this stuff. And again, Joe Biden is not implicated in any of this Epstein stuff. And I don't even think Blinken or any of those other people are already there. It is the just general orientation of the states to just back Israel to the hilt, no matter what. It's crazy. Blackmail would make more sense, quite frankly.
I've got an answer for that, though. Here's my analysis of that, because I've thought about that as well. Is that with my knowledge of history and of the region, is that you're going to produce Zionism is going to produce the Jasmine Crockett's of the world and the Joe Bidens who are just doing it for the love of the game.
Get wrecked, Jasmine Crockett.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, even Joe Biden could only be harangued so far. I don't think this would have not have happened under Joe Biden. This war against Iran would have not happened under Kamala Harris. I still think those two people are the scum of the earth. No. Here's why. No, here's my thing is that at some point, the Palestinian genocide, and I'm thinking like a Joe Biden would think, Kamala Harris would think. Palestinians, I don't care. They have the same opinion about the Palestinians that the UAE and Saudi Arabia has. They'll pay lip service to it, but at the end of the day, they're blow them off the map. I don't care about these people. Whatever. They didn't
even pay lip service, really. I mean,
but when it comes to, hey, we're going to back out, we're going to not defend our Gulf regional client states to make sure that Israel gets all of our defense. I don't think they would have done that, because it's the same reason why Bibi Netanyahu hates to this day. He hates Barack Obama, and he hates Barack Obama even though Barack Obama gave him everything, billions of dollars, anything they wanted. And I think he hated Barack Obama because he wouldn't let him have his Iran war, because they didn't have the appropriate blackmail material on him. Same thing with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's autobiographer wrote about a meeting with Bibi Netanyahu and Bill Clinton, where Bill Clinton came out of it going, I don't know, who the F does this guy think he is? Who does he think the superpower is? How dare he talk to me like this? He's like, no. He's like, you're our client state. So I think there comes a point, it's like, look, in your little backyard, we don't care about Palestinians. We don't care that you're a genocidal ethnic state. Do whatever you want. But when you start dipping into the larger, when you start skimming off the top of the bigger casino, which is the Gulf, that's where the liberals like Biden, Obama, potentially a Harris or a Clinton will put their foot down. To where this guy Trump, and I'm not saying because he's even a bad man, which he is, he's a demon. He's a demon. He's a demon in human skin. Bad man. But it's deeper than that.
I heard it here first, folks. Trump is bad.
There has to be something deeper. Like Donald Trump, okay, what do we know about Donald Trump? Donald Trump is about Donald Trump. Donald Trump wants people to like Donald Trump overall. It's Donald Trump. Don't make him look bad. Don't make him look foolish. But it's a constant humiliation ritual perpetuated by the state of Israel and Bibi Netanyahu onto Donald Trump every single day. And he just tanks it. He just tanks it in a way he would tank it from no one else. And this is the same, the same kind of guy who will sit there and have Zelensky in front of him and berate this man to his face. But like,
not even berate him himself. Have his number 2 berate him.
Right. But when Bibi Netanyahu shows up, the White House literally has to do his laundry, and Trump is pulling out chairs for the man. What is going on? There is something else going on there. You cannot convince me it's anything else but some kind of weird, eyes wide shut, black man material where they sexually assault children. Sorry. Like, you're going to, please, I am open. I am open to anybody who can come up with a better analogy. It's the reason why I'm on this path, because I don't see anything else. I don't. There's nothing else I can see out there of why this is happening.
Yeah.
Unless it's God's plan, which, okay. Yeah. And it's like, the older I get, the witchier I'm getting. And it's like, if it is God's plan, great. Let me tell you something about that. Who do you think, if Jesus is going to come down on, if the plan is that we're going to get destroy Israel so that way Jesus can come down and make the kingdom and fight the Antichrist or whatever. I don't know about, game this out. Like, whose side do you think this guy's going to be on? The country that just, the nations that are just assaulting weaker nations and burning children alive and molesting children and not taking care of their own citizens and has nuclear weapons? Or is Jesus going to go back home to Palestine and go, hey guys, I know you've been throwing rocks, but let's try something else. Let's try this end times thing. It's like, is he going to go play for the home team? I think he's going to play for the home team.
He'll be like Danhausen and be like, you're cursed.
You're cursed. It's done with. Like, yeah, but somebody has to give me a better explanation of why Donald Trump is so cut to Bibi Netanyahu than just like it's an unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Middle East, because we can create another unsinkable aircraft carrier tonight. There are a million dirty countries over there. Dirty, I don't mean dirty literally. I mean just disgusting, immoral, amoral
Saudi
places,
Arabia, Qatar, you name it.
That we can just go into and project our will and throw our money around. Why this place? There is a reason to it.
And we were doing that too. I mean, like you mentioned that there's just this like destruction and the exodus, like people leaving their dogs in their apartments in these places, like getting the hell out of there.
Dubai hotels are $65 now. You can get on.
Oh wow!
And grab it. Yeah, a luxury vacation.
But the flights are difficult because Abu Dhabi airport's down, right? Or it's like.
Well, I would honestly, with the precision that I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Please keep that thought in your head. But with the precision that Iran is striking right now, I would go. I wouldn't be worried. The only thing I'd want to know is like who's in the hotel rooms around me. Make sure they're not CIA or Mossad agents, because it seems like that's who they're hitting. Yeah, because they've got that good old Chinese Russia intelligence that they totally aren't getting from China and Russia. But go ahead.
You listen to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. Jeff and Robert here. It is they just like it is amazing though, because I mean there has been so much like Western investment. Like the World Cup was held in Qatar like 4 years ago.
World Cup's 3 months away from the World Cup. RIP.
Oh yeah, and Donald Trump had a tweet about the World Cup too, about like I don't know, but if the Iranian players should come to the World Cup.
We got here in New Orleans. We got a live golf tournament coming up in that's the Saudi blood money. It's like it's the rival to the PGA Tour that is not like. It's not from Saudi Arabia. It is Saudi Arabia. It's like funded by the Saudi Arabian.
Well, I mean, they host WWE shows. Yeah, they had a comedy tour. I mean, they bought SNK. They bought SNK. They own the fighting game company.
Disgusting.
Yeah, and like that's how. By the way, in Fatal Fury, that guy, that DJ Salvatore Ganacci, is a playable character in it. Like part of the reason he's even in that game is because he's like personal friends with one of the like
MBS?
princes. Yeah, with like MBS or somebody.
Ugh, just so gross. I mean, I've said this. I think I've said this on the show. I just think that like it's somebody who is an atheist and not. I think it's just so gross that like Mecca and Medina, like one of the most important places in human like culture and human history, like are in that disgusting country to where like these poor people that want to make the Hajj, they have to go there every year and just deal with Saudi Arabia. It's just so gross. It's so gross. It's so gross. I mean, as I sit here, and when I say it's so gross, I don't mean like we're any better. It'd be like
No,
it's the idea of like having the LA Olympics here. Like it shouldn't be. Like you shouldn't be allowed. It's like having the Olympics in Berlin under Hitler. It's the same thing. I mean, just sitting here. The World Cup shouldn't be here. Well, FIFA's disgusting. The IOC is disgusting too. So why?
Yeah. None of these like global entities are any good. They're all pure evil.
Yeah.
No, so I mean, just like what I just like turn off my brain and like watch them enjoy the sports. That's what I do.
Yeah, no, I hear you. 100%.
How about that Alyssa Liu, right? Like she's cool, isn't she, or whatever?
I don't know. I didn't watch any Winter Olympics. I have been watching a little bit of. I've gotten back into Lucha Libre wrestling, and I have been watching the women's professional hockey league because it's so available. Like you can watch it on YouTube for free, and I like
really?
that. Yeah, I'm a big. I'm planting my flag in the New York Sirens because they're kind of bad. So I love a scrappy, bad team. But yeah, man, like this feels like we're at I don't feel like we're at a tipping point for just like this country. I feel like we're at a tipping point for like civilization. This is like sliding doors time, man, where things could get like really, really bad. I mean, really bad to where it's like existential, like the end of human civilization as we know it. Or like this thing, if we take the correct kind of L, like this thing could be a new golden age. I don't know. And maybe we'll live to see it. And I've kind of made peace with it too. Like if things get really bad, like, if something, I'm not saying that people even need to feel this type of way, but if things got really bad and I like died over it, let's say there was somehow like an Iranian sleeper cell and I got killed in a war operation. I refuse to call that a terrorist operation when my country, whose tax dollars go to, on the day one of their illegal war, burnt little children. If I died in it, I hope my last breath would, I would be, as I was bleeding out, I would be like, I understand. I get it. I know it's like a dark thing to think about, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
Well, I did want to like the one last point that I think is like super important about this is like the United States. Well, two things. First of all, like the fact that the United States has just decided that they could just do a decapitation strike on a society that has literally been girding itself for the impending like attempt for the West to do something like this, and essentially like gearing themselves up for rather against American or Western imperialism, like for longer than I've been you and I have both been alive, right, since the 1970s. And like the United States just deciding that, we just kill one guy and it's over, right? We will even be able to pick who the new supreme leader, the new Ayatollah is going to be. And it's just like so silly and so childish to even think that that's like a reality in a country of 93 million people. And and I mean, quite frankly, when Iran, their Supreme Leadership Council or whatever it is, decided on the new Ayatollah, that is a direct like middle finger towards Donald Trump and to the West, who just said that like literally like we're gonna pick the new leader in Iran or whatever. It's so goofy. It's so silly that they
yeah.
even said that or consider that to be like that's like you're setting yourself up for the own. You know what I mean?
No, I'm really glad you say that, and it shows like how much of a dead, dying empire that we are. I'm really glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about that. And it's what we always do. Like we're high on our own supply about Venezuela, and we replaced Maduro with the same administration. We replaced
Didn't even change, like literally just like replaced like Maduro. You arrest Maduro, you take him out, and you're just like, okay, everybody, all you got to do is trade oil with us, and we're cool, right?
So crazy. Afghanistan, we replaced the Taliban with the Taliban. In Iraq, we killed Saddam Hussein and did debathification, and now
created ISIS.
We created ISIS and are receiving attacks as of right now from inside Iraq to our military installations around the Gulf. We took out Gaddafi and created ISIS. Like, this is the thing, and these are our wins. These aren't our losses. This isn't Korea or Vietnam we're talking about, where we completely had to run. Like, these are supposedly our wins, and the idea and the reason why like this happens, this country was founded on racism, and it seems like it's going to end on racism, at least in the form that we know it right now. And hopefully a new kind of golden age does come from this. But it's the Orientalism of it all. It's like we learn about in our primary school about presidential succession. Like, if something was to happen to the president and the vice president and then the speaker of the house and then the this and the that, and I can't think of who it is, but you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Mm-hmm. We learn about this stuff in like primary school. And to think like we're so racist and Orientalist to think like this country of how many million people? 90 million?
93 million.
93 million people don't have the same governmental structure. It's so disgusting. Like, what do we think these people are? Do we think these people are orcs? I mean, we do. We think they're subhuman. We think they're orcs.
Bureaucracy was invented in Iran or Persia or whatever. Like come on.
Exactly. Like, all we're gonna do. Yeah, these people have been living by the Code of Hammurabi. No, 100%. I forgot all about that. Holy cow! You're completely right. Like, they had like building.
You think they don't know this? They've been doing this a lot longer than us.
Brother, they had like legit like building codes of just like, hey, you can't build structures like this, and if a structure does fall apart, here's the fee, the fee schedule, so that you have to like pay recompense to the person whose structure fell apart. Like, yeah, like a Code of Hammurabi. So it's like, what are we talking about? Like, to think that these people are just orcs in Lord of the Rings, like we just kill Sauron and then all of a sudden the orcs are just leaderless and they just run off into the desert, like run off into the woods crazy. Like, it's so racist. And that's our hubris and our arrogance is always going to be our downfall here. And I hope that we've touched the stove for the last time and we just realize, hey, let's stop putting our hand on hot stoves and let's play nice in the sandbox. I hope. I really, that's the best outcome from this whole thing. Or these service members that we know of.
Yeah, we don't know how many
that we know of have died, that are totally our government is totally not lying about the stats. Then it was all for nothing. It was all. Think about that. I want you, even if you're the biggest war hawk of all time, right? And like, we cannot overthrow Iran. Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that for Israel. It's just logistically not going to work. So what is the only outcome that would make these people's deaths worth something? That would give us a lesson that we can take home and learn, is to never, ever, ever let a client state wag the dog like this ever again, and don't get involved in these entanglements anymore. That would be that's the only way these people's sacrifice, you want to call it that, would be worth anything. But if we don't learn anything from this as a society, we're just kicking the can down the road to our own destruction. That's all I
got. Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's like one of the things that might be sooner than later. And, the way that I will say this, and again, it's going to get worse domestically because of the rising gas prices. You're already seeing them go up. But like, at least in the early days, the crazy thing, and we talked about this a little bit at the top, and then we do got to get out of here, like how little this has affected like day-to-day life, or how little people even like really talk about it, is the thing that makes me go crazy. Every time something like this happens, I feel like I'm the crazy one because everybody else is just doing their own thing.
Yeah,
And just
I
like
know.
acting like it's like nothing's wrong or
Having to
nothing's
punch
going
the
on.
clock every day feels insane. Like,
Yeah.
why am I going to work?
Yeah.
This is all that should matter right now. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, you're right.
Anyway, you have been listening to Good Morning Comrade. This is WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. Robert, anything you want to say on the way out?
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Up the Raw, Chakiola. Irish Unification coming soon to a theater near you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been your weekly GMC. Get more information about our show at goodmorningcomrade.com, WHIVFM.org/listens, where you can listen anywhere live in the world. Check out all of our podcast feeds. Find us on this space. We usually come on Tuesdays over there. And also, Robert's got a solo show, the Lumencast, on Wednesday nights. Thanks everybody for listening. WHIVLP New Orleans. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.